young people. Well, I get off my thing.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I think it's important to understand that politics is not static and that the economic realities will reshape the politics in the next 6 months. Those economic realities are pushing us closer and closer to an echo recession, an additional major downdraft in the economy that we see showing up in all the data currently, and all the underlying factors are moving us towards retesting and potentially pushing us towards a new financial crisis as well, given the ongoing exposure of both the government and the banks to a double dip in the housing crisis is now caused as much by unemployment as the original bubble. So I think it would be a mistake to assume that the static picture we're seeing in the lead up to the debt ceiling is going to be the politics that dominates the discussion 6 to 9 months. Now, of course, we have to play a role in redefining that. But when after the initial euphoria may take place of the market, if we get some sort of interim, the realities of the debt deflation that is taking place throughout the American economy, that is going to grip large parts of Europe, the slowdown that is taking place in Asian and emerging economy, will be the dominant reality. You can't disinvent the economic realities, but you can interpret them in a way that I think will give us another opportunity. And I think what's important and what Leo has done with his leadership is to give us a platform when that opening reemerges in the next 6 to 9 months. So let's not assume we're in a static political environment. We'll be in a dynamic political environment because we're in a very serious economic situation that is going to impose realities on the political leadership in a new way that you haven't seen in the last 6 months.
Congressman?
The American public wants a job. That's what this is about. They want a job. They want to go back to work. They want to support their family. They want a job. And it's incumbent upon all of us who think we're in politics and want to be political leaders to develop a jobs agenda, a program that will create the jobs that are necessary in America. I agree entirely about Mr. Schwenninger when you talk about it's going to switch. It's going to switch from this deficit, which is really a important but is not the central issue. The central issue is the putting people to work. We've tried to develop in the House a Make It in America agenda, and it's a piece of the puzzle. There are many different bills involved in it. Some of them are part of what's in this proposal. But what we need is an overarching program, which is in this, at least partly. Where'd my little book go here? Here it is. It's this kind of thing. It's that we need a comprehensive jobs agenda, something that speaks to all of the pieces of the puzzle, and then for us, the Senate and the House, is to put together the pieces of legislation that cause it to happen. And Senator Harkin, you couldn't be more correct. There's something about this that is missing, which is the leadership. There has to be a voice that makes this a reality. And so as we go through the rest of this, we can talk about the individual pieces here, as we should, because in this report are the elements of a successful program. There are some that could be added and some maybe would be subtracted along the way. But we have to have that overarching message to the American public and program beneath it that can actually create the opportunity for this economy to turn. I like this. I really like what you guys have done here. And hopefully we can grasp it and say, well, let's run with this. I'd love to put this in the president's hand. He was over in Maryland talking to a bunch of students, and it was here and there and everywhere, but there was not one mention about a job. How are we going to do that? Leo, you've given us an answer.
Michael, can I just
throw
one out, and not more for you to guide us through it, if I might. From what we can tell, Tom and John, from what we can tell within your Congress, John, and Tom, your Senate, 3 places where there seemed to be just inordinate sentiment to do something are the National Infrastructure Bank, a buy domestic, which the congressman just referred to, buy American, we call it sometimes. And there's certainly, and Pat, you would have an insight to this as well, but the currency bill aimed at China, it's certainly the biggest of the several subsidies that are killing us. The 90% subsidy world that I described, 30%, roughly a third of the 90 is currency. The rest we know to be taxes, environmental, siting, financing, and things. But Tom and John, I certainly detect within your members, almost in a bipartisan fashion, a lot of support for China currency, National Infrastructure Bank. And boy, I don't know, it seems to me hard to go home to Iowa and California and say that Buy American doesn't make sense.
We already did it, as you know, in the defense bill.
You bet, and you did it well.
We also did a piece of it in the stimulus bill with the high-speed rail. And the international rail companies, high-speed rail companies, not one company in America. But when that bill was passed and $12 billion put up there, they all rushed to establish manufacturing facilities in the United States. It can work. I'm carrying two pieces of legislation that say that if you're going to use our tax dollars to go green, to put up the solar or the wind, then you're going to buy America. Why should we allow our tax dollars to be used to buy Chinese solar panels? Makes no sense to me.
How about your Bay Bridge?
Oh,
Tell us about that.
Get you started, right?
It does seem as if if anything, the politics, as dynamic as they might be, and I certainly agree on